Hey, I'm Melanie Trailer, and welcome back to the Dandy Quilt Along. We're on week 3. This week is sponsored by Meander and Make. We're gonna have 3 winners. They're gonna win quilty t-shirts this round. And our task this week is to make our second set of blocks, but instead of focusing on, individual blocks, we're going to talk about batch sewing today. And all of you may not need this if you like the way I showed you how to make these blocks last week and you want to keep doing it that way, keep going. But if you are time crunched and you need more efficiency, I'm going to show you how to batch sew every single step of these and get them all done at exactly the same time. I'm also going to show you the stripology ruler. Every time I subcut, I use the stripology ruler. So I'm going to give you a little look at that too. Yeah, so that's it. Let's just get going. I'm going to put up a little slide right now that is going to show you how many strip sets you're making based on the quilt size you've chosen to make. All right, and then you're going to go ahead, gather your strips for those strip sets. And that actually takes a little bit of time because you have to go through and you have to get 2 of everything, or at least that's what I'm doing. So 2 of everything, and then go ahead and organize those A, B. That way we'll just start sewing them together, chain piece style, batching away. I think it took me like 20-ish minutes to get everything pulled for this week, get each strip set decided on and organized into these stacks. So a couple questions that I've been getting about, if you're doing the ombre, how many light and dark? It's just really up to you. There's no hardcore rules. Some of my strip sets, are looking like high contrast, and then some of them are going to be like 2 very similar colors to this one. So there's no rules, and that's kind of the thing. You really don't know how this is going to end up looking until you get all your blocks done and on the wall and start moving things around. So I've set my intentions of having my darkest in the middle of my quilt, and then it's getting lighter as it goes to the top and the bottom of the quilt. But I don't know for sure that that's going to work out perfectly as it is in my head. Things might evolve, change, move around, and that's okay. Batch sewing. The purpose of batch sewing is to complete each task for the quilt at the same time. So instead of working one block, instead of doing it that way, it's all the flying geese for the block, all the half square triangles for the block, all at once. So on Dandy Quilt, the way we'll do this is we're going to sew all of our A and B strips together. There's an A and a B, and then there's another A and a B. We're going to sew all the A and B, and then we're going to sew those 2 AB together. Then we're going to press them all, and then we're going to cut them all into our blocks. So getting started, just a reminder to go ahead and turn your cut edge. I have my cut edge here at the top of my strips, and then my selvages are down here because I want to start sewing at the cut edge and then start cutting at the cut edge. So A and B together, and then we're using that 1/4 inch seam. We're keeping the edge of our strips on the inside of that 1/4 inch line on your needle plate. If you're a beginner and that is hard for you, it's going to get easier, it's going to get better. The more you do something, it's just naturally the better you get at it, just like everything else. All right, then I'm grabbing my next A and B, and same thing, sending it right through, right back through. And I'm actually going to do all of these. So all of them are going through at the exact same time. So a giant chain piecing session. And chain piecing is just the most efficient thing. I have to tell you that I quilted for 2 years before I found out what chain piecing was. So that was not a happy day. I was actually pretty mad that I didn't know it and that I'd sewn for 2 years. that's 2 sets, and just I'm going to keep going along this stack. All right, I'm going to finish these up, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've got it all done. All right, so I've got all of them paired up, and then I'm going to start clipping the threads between them. So little threads. You saw me do this last week, but I want to be careful this time because instead of having 4 pieces for that one strip set I showed you last week, I've got everything I need for 12 strip sets. You may have more or less strip sets. So I want to be careful where I place them. So every time I clip them, I'm going to just do it a little bit slower, a little bit more mindfully, and then I'm just going to kind of lay them out open like that. I'm going to have my first stack, and then I'm going to have a second stack because now we have to go and sew, both of these together. So I'm putting them like this so that I can grab and sew when we start sewing these together. So taking a little bit more time, but I'll be organized and I won't make any mistakes. All right, so I'm going to work my way through all my chain piecing. Here it all is if you can't see it. So there it all is. And one at a time, I'm clipping these and getting them organized into my 2 stacks. Have everything stacked up, organized, and I'm going to grab and sew, and I know that I won't sew anything wrong together because I've taken the time and organized. Setting myself up for success, right? All right, and then I'm going to grab my AB, and my other AB, and then we're going to put these together, and we're going to work our way through the stacks just like we did with the single strips, and we're going to start sewing. So same thing, just we're sewing our pairs together now. All right, and I know we've got some beginner quilters participating. So I wanted to say that I had a question about that seam allowance, and it does matter. I mean, it really is important to, if you don't have it exact, to get it really, really close, because if you have anything off too much, it will only frustrate you with the rest of your quilt. And especially if you're a beginner and you don't know any better, you'll hate quilting. You'll start hating quilting and not think it's fun. If everything is done with cutting your fabrics accurately, sewing them together accurately, if you take the time to do that right, then quilt making becomes just a joy. But I definitely know what it feels like to sew not anything about seam allowance, just start sewing stuff together and then getting really, really frustrated when the pattern doesn't work out the way it's supposed to. All right, so I'm going to finish this up on my own, and I will see you when I got it done. We'll meet back over at the pressing mat. Okay, I have all of my strip sets sewn, looking like that. And we're going to do the same thing that we did last week, which is just to take our iron. We're going to press all of these seams open. So remember that you're not ironing, you're moving your iron up and down, pressing. I'm still not over how simple these blocks are. All right, and then flip it over. Spray it with a little bit of starch and press until all those tiny little droplets of starch dry up. Just like that. And then I'm just going to keep on with all of my strip sets doing the exact same thing. I've got 12 of them. You may have a little more, you may have a little less. Just work your way through pressing all of these, and then we'll cut them all together. All right, I am all pressed, and I'm looking at this one and I'm thinking, I wish I put just a tiny smidgen of lavender in some of my fabrics, because orange and lavender are so pretty together. So I would like to have seen a little bit more of that, but it's too late now. So anyway, isn't that kind of that way it goes, though? You make your choices and then you're always constantly rethinking yourself. At least that's the way it goes for me. What I'm going to do now is it's time to cut all of these into blocks. I'm going to show you how to cut them a much quicker way using the Stripology ruler. If you don't have a Stripology ruler, that's okay. Keep cutting them with your regular ruler. But I am going to show you how to stack them, and you can still use your regular ruler to do that. So let's change viewpoint and get, here we go. And we're going to cut again. We're cutting from that cut edge, not the selvage edge. And I say you can line up, 3 or 4 of these. But we're going to find the lines. We're going to find a horizontal line, and I'm going to put this edge of my fabric, flush on that horizontal line. I'm finding a vertical line, and I'm overlapping my strip set, over that vertical line that I'm going to cut on. I'm going to take another set. Instead of going right on top of each other, I'm just going to go up 1 inch. So you see that 1 inch on my cutting mat? I'm going to go, I'll move this one. You need to be sitting straight. Put this one 1 inch above it. And another one 1 inch above it. And then one more. 1 inch above it, and also being mindful that I'm overlapping on this line on my mat so that I can cut, a nice clean edge. All right. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to line it up to cut a little edge off so that I can get my straight edge. Here's the thing about the Stripology ruler, why everybody loves it. All right, and then it's got these little teardrop shapes. I can't use my Havel's ruler because it has this right here. So I do have to have another rotary cutter, one that pops out from its shell. So I got to get one of those. But once I put this in here, here is what this ruler does. Cut my strips. I don't have to pick the ruler up and place it down again. So once you have the ruler down, you just, find where you're cutting at and cut. No more having to make sure that you get everything lined up or anything like that. Got my ruler. This is scraps. And then that's garbage. And then everything is ready to go for me. Here's all of my blocks. Just like that. It's nice because you won't spend so much time placing your ruler just so, like we always have to do, which, is really, really important because you need accurate cuts. But that's the thing about the Stripology ruler, is that once you place it once, boom, 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 you're done. So it's kind of saves you a little bit of time and saves you frustration if your eyes are always having trouble, getting everything lined up properly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get all of my strip sets done, finish all of my blocks for this week, and call it a day. I'm really, really enjoying these blocks and how easy and basic and simple they are. There's a time for complicated quilts, and there's a time for easy quilts, and I'm glad this one is here for me right now. But our time is coming for more difficulty when we start piecing all of these little bitty blocks together. So that's coming. So don't get too relaxed. All right. Have fun sewing your blocks. Don't forget to enter the giveaway for participants. It's in your week 3 email. You'll click a button, do all the little tasks it tells you to do, and you'll be entered into the giveaway. 3 winners will be chosen next Thursday, and they'll all win a Quilty t-shirt of their choice. All right, that's all. Let me know what you thought about batch sewing, about the Stripology ruler. Links to everything I used, showed you, talked about are right below this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.